Hey guys, FilthyRobot here, bringing you another State of the Channel, this time for January of 2018. Happy New Year's, guys. I hope your year of 2017 was as good as mine, and I hope that 2018 finds you in good health and good spirits and getting on with life. So, cheers, guys. This one's going to be a slightly longer State of the Channel announcement than my regular ones. I have a lot to catch up on. It's been a while since I've done one of these State of the Channels, and we're probably going to change in this the next year how that is going to be. I think what I'll be doing is State of the Channels based on when I have things to share as opposed to one per month, which may mean less, it may mean more. It will depend entirely on what this year ends up bringing, but it won't be just once per month. We'll talk a little bit more about that when I get to how we're going to be redoing some of the Patreon stuff this year. Learned a lot from that, but I have changes I want to make. But again, we'll get to that later. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I want to talk about the culture of the channel to begin with. Particularly, I want to talk about, well, let's start with the recap of 2017. There's some really kind of interesting things in 2017. First of all, it was a good year. I had a lot of fun with 2017. I think a lot of you guys did too. The channel came out of it fairly well. I did a lot of things I hadn't done in the past that I'm really glad I did. Set up a Discord server, started on Twitter, set up a Patreon, did a number of collaborations, etc. We're going to break that down a little bit more in a minute, but these are the types of things that really I thought went very well. Discord has been awesome, way better than expected. I went into it thinking it was going to be very similar to like another TeamSpeak or Ventrilo, and it really wasn't. It has been an awesome way for me to communicate with my viewers at pretty much any time about all sorts of topics in a really kind of informal way, a way to do it when I'm not streaming. Like it might be an evening for me, it might be 11 p.m. and I'm going to bed in an hour and I'm watching a stream or something, and it's a really cool stream and I can just link it in Discord and be like, hey guys, you got to check this out, this is so cool. And I get that immediate feedback from the viewers who are hanging out there. We get to chat about it. I get their stuff linked to me. They suggest views or shows or channels. It's just been an awesome way to have a persistent community and have an ability to interact with that community on a real-time basis. It's much better than expected. In addition, I get to see the connections being made through my channel, which is so cool to me, where I see in the past I've seen D&D groups come from my mods now play all D&D together, but now with Discord out there I see real-time people in the voice channels playing Star Citizen together or whatever it happens to be that they're playing, or organizing EU4 multiplayer games and playing those, and it's just awesome. I really like how Discord has turned out. That's been super good for the channel. Twitter, not quite as much as a success. I need to be more active on Twitter. As part of my job development, essentially. It's one of the ways that people look at your influence as an influencer, which is essentially what my job description is these days. When companies look, do they want to sponsor me to do something, or do they want to reach out to me about one of their products or one of their games? Part of how they look at my impact in the world around me is my social media following. And I just am not very good naturally. It's not something that I instinctively think about in terms of self-promotion or in terms of social media. I just don't think to do that. I'm a fairly private person as a whole, and it's taken some relearning to figure that out. So again, I need to keep building my Twitter following, my Twitter followers, and keep working on providing content through Twitter that's enough interesting stuff, but not spamming people, that people want to be a part of that. So we'll work on that some more this year, but we did introduce it to our channel this year. We also introduced Patreon this year, and I think that's a pretty big success too for me. I really like Patreon. Unlike YouTube, which the views differ from month to month, and unlike Twitch, where the views differ from game to game, the direct donations differ from day to day, the number of subs differs from month to month. Patreon is fairly predictable and consistent in its payment of me, which lets me plan my life, which lets me actually have a sense of what's going to be happening next month. It leaves me a lot less nervous or fearful of what if next month all my viewers tank, or like this game isn't popular, or there's something like Adpocalypse happens again where suddenly YouTube revenue is just absolute crap. It remains one of the most consistent ways for my viewers to support me and support my content, and I really like Patreon, so I'm really glad we introduced that. That said, it's pretty clear. So I set up some goals, set up some rewards from Patreon this year. Those of you who are patrons of my channel probably are aware of this, and the point for those particular goals was I picked things that I thought people would be interested in and were things that I could reliably and consistently provide. And what I found from the first couple months of doing it was most of the rewards that I set up in Patreon or for my patrons rather, weren't particularly interesting to my patrons. They just weren't utilizing those rewards. They didn't care enough about those rewards to bother even turning them in, which is a failure on my part in terms of predicting what people are going to be interested in. And really what I will be doing, and I guess I can talk about this now, what I will be doing is I'll be pulling those sets of rewards off the list of what's listed on Patreon right now. I'm going to leave it kind of open right now with basically you're just supporting me, which is essentially what they're doing in Patreon anyways, as I brainstorm new ideas, send out polls to see if those ideas are actual ideas that people are interested in, and implement new sets of Patreon rewards for that. Because essentially people who are patron supporters, they're supporting my channel first and foremost. They're not doing it for any one of those rewards particularly, but those rewards are supposed to be things that I can easily do and consistently do to give back and be like, hey, this is so cool that you're supporting me here. Here's some little extra bonus thing that you wouldn't have otherwise that I can do easily. And I haven't yet found a good mix of things that I can provide consistently that you guys as viewers actually want. So we gotta work on that. There's ways we can do this better, because as I said, like a lot of those goals have slipped by the wayside, and they slipped by the wayside because the initial responses to them were just totally underwhelming. Like, people didn't actually care that much about what guide videos I made. They just wanted to see the guide videos I did make. People weren't showing up for the live chats. And it's not that I blame the viewers. It's clearly what I was expecting as a interesting and motivating reward just wasn't. It was something that wasn't actually important to them at all. So we're gonna work on that. That will be good. I like Patreon as a support method, but I got to tweak the kind of fine details of how that's going to work with our channel. So expect to see that being updated relatively early in probably this year, sometime probably this month or next month. I'm probably going to get to that. Let's see. So yeah, I already talked, I think, about the collaborations. Yeah, so pretty good year overall. Prime subs were a little kind of sketchy. I mean, that was introduced late last year, and it's been now we've now seen a year of Prime subs. I like them in theory because a lot of people use Amazon Prime, and it's a great way to get also just essentially more subscribers who can now subscribe to you for free to them because they already had Prime, and now they can become part of your channel. But it comes to a bit of a moment-to-moment popularity contest as opposed to a long-term viewer base who is there supporting you, because it doesn't auto renew, which means that a lot of times you get Twitch Prime subs kind of in the spur of the moment. Like, here they're watching their game, they like it, cool, they'll throw their Prime sub at you, but that Prime sub doesn't auto renew, which means that next month they're probably not there again, unless you happen to be producing something that has caught their eye again, as opposed to people coming back and supporting your content long term who are regular subs naturally. So I don't know. I don't like that. I'm not sure why that their recurring option isn't a part of the Twitch Prime subs. I know it's a pain in the ass to resub as a Twitch Prime. I have a Twitch Prime sub. Well, rather my wife does anyways. And it's a pain in the ass to apply that even to the channels that I want to give that to again and again and again. So kind of interesting set of stuff happened in 2017. Let's continue on talking about the culture of the channel. So one of my goals this year, 2018, is to be a little bit more transparent about my off-stream life with you guys. Not totally one-to-one. I don't wish to be doing a vlog here particularly, but I tend to be private by nature and tend just not to tell you guys about some of that. And that isn't necessary in all portions of my life. There are parts of my life that I can share with you guys and be fine with sharing with you guys, and actually probably will enhance the viewing experience for you guys. For example, I did just recently set up a Goodreads account for you guys. I know in my AMAs, we've talked a lot about the stuff I read, the fiction I like, the books I like, and viewers have asked about that. So I now have a FilthyRobot Goodreads account up there. I certainly have not backfilled it with all the books I've read in my long life of reading books, but I will be updating it each new book I read, and as people are like, oh, you should check out this series, and if I've already checked it out, I'll of course update that, so you guys can find that. I'll put a link in the description later, but it's just one other way I wanted to start being a little bit more transparent. And this year I'll probably be telling you guys a little bit more about my travel plans, more on that later, but my goal is, if I'm going to an area, wherever I'm in, US or EU, or anywhere really, that I'm going to be available for, meeting someone or saying hi, then I want to be able to do that. So I didn't say that very well. Let's try to be a little bit more clear. I travel a fair amount across the course of the year. A lot of it is family related and work related, my wife's work related stuff, and that might not work out that way, but some of it is for pleasure, like travel to locations. This year, for example, we're going to be hitting up the Pacific Northwest. I've never been out to any of that area. I want to go see Portland and Seattle. I want to hike some of the trails out there, climb some of the rocks out there, and do some of the food and drink out there. I'm going to be there for at least a week, if probably not 2 weeks, while I'm out there this year at some point. And what I want to set up for part of that is a couple nights where I'm going to be at some bar, and no obligation one way or the other, but I'll be at that bar for a couple hours. And if there's viewers in the area who want to come say hi and have a beer, I want to be able to be like, hey, I'm going to be here at this time, and here's where we're going to be. Come join us for a beer if you want. I think that's a really easy thing for me to do that doesn't disrupt my life or put obligations on anybody, but is a fun way to be kind of like, hey, you want to meet me in real life? I'm going to be here in real life doing this for this period of time style stuff. So I'll be a little bit more upfront about some of the things I'll be doing this year, with the goal of facilitating interaction if you guys want the interaction. Again, it's a weird thing for me. You know, I'm a content creator. Didn't choose this life, or rather I have chosen this life, but I didn't kind of plan on choosing this life. And there's some weird things that come out of it from my perspective. So anyways, we'll see if that is if those things are fun for you guys or not, but they are part of my kind of overall overarching goal of a little bit more transparency. So what else? I want to take a moment to I want to bring up a topic and then also acknowledge some people along the way. So one of the things that's hit me this year, I was kind of cleaning out my mod list in Twitch, and I realized now that I'm seeing 40-month resubs now on Twitch, which means I've been doing this for more than 3 years now of streaming, and around that time for YouTubing. And it's funny how much changes in the course of 3 years in someone's life. And I've seen so many viewers who have been part of the channel, often very heavily part of the channel, move on. Maybe mods stop coming to the channel, subs stop subscribing, people moving on with their lives, and it's totally understandable. It makes total sense. People are going through their lives, and stuff changes, and your viewership of Twitch changes, and your interest in the things that I'm interested in diverge, and people go different ways. But I wanted to put this out there. I'll tell you where this comes from in a minute, but I want to put this out there that those of you who have been long-term viewers or subscribers or supporters of the channel who no longer are, you're always welcome in the channel, even if you're no longer as active or as interactive as you were before with that channel. If you were a supporter before, like maybe financial supporter or just a chatter in there, and you're not anymore, don't feel embarrassed about coming back and saying hi or whatnot. It's weird for me to see you guys go. I totally understand why that happens, but I just want to be clear that I'm more than happy to see you guys around and say hi. I don't hold it against you if you were a sub and no longer a sub. I don't hold it against you if you're a mod and you're no longer active. Not at all. It's been great to have you for the time you're there, and I wish you the best on where you go next, but feel free to come back and say hi if that is something that interests you for a game that pops up or just for nostalgia's sake. It's cool. It's totally cool. And I say this because one of my long-term supporters of the channel, Donald Trump, you guys know him. He has been helping me with the YouTube editing and release stuff for years now. Literally 2 years he's been helping me with this, and he is moving on. His wife is pregnant. They have a child due in, I believe it's March, late March. And I want to congratulate him publicly here, thank him for all the support that he's given me over the years, and let him know that, no hard feelings whatsoever, that he's no longer going to have time in his life for this, and I wish him the best with that. But I want to extend that to everybody else, too. And while I'm doing that, I want to give a couple other shout-outs. Shout-outs to Aqua of the Back, Kex, with your crazy, what is it, Ikbender Kampf Kex or something name that I can never, ever fucking pronounce. Shiro and QED, all of you guys, and then all of my mod team. But you guys in particular for the long-standing support and help with the channel. So much of what I'm doing is only capable because I have the volunteers. I mean, honestly, all of it's only capable because of volunteers. I mean, you guys are volunteering your support to me, and I live on essentially a crowd-funded job here. I create content, and it's funded by you guys to some degree. But a lot of the day-to-day stuff also couldn't exist without the continued support and volunteering of time from these individuals I'm mentioning. So I just wanted to shout out for you guys for that moment. So, yeah, thank you all very much for the support. I'm pretty sure, for particular QED, who is a long-term moderator of my channel, who's there day in and day out, pretty much every day I stream, I'm pretty sure he sees more than me than my wife sees of me. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the overlap works that way, but it's kind of ridiculous. Anyways, let's move on from culture. I want to talk a little bit about content. So talk a little bit about the content upcoming for this year. I hate January. Right now I'm sitting here. It's like, what is the date today? I think it's the 17th, 16th of January right now where I'm doing this. I live right now in central Illinois. Well, not really. It's kind of, I live a little bit outside of Chicago, but a little bit west of Chicago. In Illinois, it's winter here. It's been winter here for probably 3 months, and it's probably winter here for another 3 months. We're like right smack dab in the middle of fucking winter, and I hate winter. I'm so tired of the cold, so tired of dreary cold days where I can't go outside, or if I do go outside, it's unpleasant to be alive outside. I also hate quarter one. Quarter one is a terrible terrible time of the year for streamers and YouTubers. Ad revenue is down, so YouTube doesn't pay out very well. Viewership is down. People have just spent a ton of money across quarter four, all the seasonal stuff, so money is tight for everybody. It's an ugly time of the year. And worse than all of that, my wife is super busy during quarter one. She's back in school. She's teaching. She has a lot of travel-related things that she has to do in quarter one, these recurring yearly conferences that she goes to. So I don't see much of my wife in quarter one either. So it's an all-around miserable time. But that said, it's temporary. We're moving past it. I'm looking forward to this year. I'm excited about this year. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. I want to talk to you about some of the games I'm excited about. I don't know so much about the quarter one releases. I haven't really tracked which of these games are releasing when. Part of my whole production cycle, for me anyways, is talking to developers ahead of time before their games come out to have gaming content to stream for you guys. That's an ongoing search. I always have tendrils out everywhere. A number of the platforms that allow developers to connect to streamers or to content producers I use. I look to you guys for suggestions. I keep an eye on trending games. All these things. I have a volunteer who keeps an eye on trending games, who keeps an eye on games that you might think I'm interested in. And then there's a number of games that I'm directly following, and I wanted to share a couple of those with you, a couple of games that I'm really excited about that hopefully will be this year or soon afterwards. And those are, I'm looking forward to Terra Invictica, Crowfall, Necromunda, Battletech, The Iron Oath. I'm looking forward to Camelot Unchained. I'm looking forward to Industries of Titan. There's a couple others like that this year are hopefully going to be pretty cool games that I'm really excited about. Crowfall in particular, fingers crossed, man. I have been fiending a good RPG, and I can't really engage with single-player RPGs, so an MMORPG is really going to be fun if it's a good one. And I haven't had a good sandbox PvP style RPG, MMORPG in ages. So I'm really looking forward to Crowfall. I've been a Kickstarter of that project for years now, and super excited about it. So a lot of good games coming out this year, and I'm sure there'll be dozens and dozens of games that I have no even sense of that are coming up. I know I missed dozens and dozens of them. It's fine. You guys, I want to reiterate this. As I said, I have a number of methods that I look for games, but one of the ways I look for games is you guys. So this is a good video to respond to in that. You're always welcome to tell me in Twitch chat, but it probably gets lost in the spam. You're always welcome to message me using the kind of Twitch email system. But this is also a good video to reply in the comments. I read all of my YouTube comments still. I haven't got to a size where that's not possible yet. I don't always respond to all of them, and sometimes, especially if you're trolling me, I'm not going to respond to it whatsoever. But I do read all of them. So if you suggest the game here, I will see it. So you're more than welcome to do that. And tell me about the games that you guys are excited about. Especially going to be great if I haven't heard of that, because that means now is another game that I can add to the list of the games I at least will check out. And I do check out a lot more games than I actually stream or produce YouTube content for. It's probably like maybe 8 or 9 to 1 on that, probably maybe a little bit lower than that, where most of the games don't make it past my internal criteria for wanting to stream or share with you guys. But I do check out a lot of games each year, so always open to new thoughts on that. All right, a couple other things I want to talk about content related. I am currently streaming 4 days a week. I'm considering upping this to 5. I don't want to make it a permanent thing because it makes it very, very difficult when I try to schedule any sort of time where I'm out of town, because I try to schedule my out of town time mostly for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, sometimes with some overlap of my streaming days, but I try to keep my streaming schedule as consistent as possible. But initially when I did this, when I changed from a 5 or 6 day a week to a 4 day a week streaming schedule, the issue was I was trying to create a lot of YouTube content simultaneously, and I didn't have enough time for that. So what I think I might do is kind of use Wednesday as like a swing day, where some weeks I'll use it as a offline content production day, but a lot of times I'll be streaming Wednesdays. We'll see exactly how that pans out. I'm not going to start that immediately, but that's the goal, and that will be at least for the first half of this year. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but this year there's going to be some major life changes for me. I'll tell you more about that in a moment, but So our schedule might be a little in flux at the moment. It should be pretty standard Thursday through Sunday for the foreseeable future, but I may add some Wednesdays for that as well. It seems like YouTube revenue has been pretty poor in the last while, and it hasn't been increasing very well at all. Adpocalypse really hurt that, as well as just the general trend that way. So offline content production that isn't streamed as well really isn't very valuable to me as a creator in terms of the finances coming out of it. So at the moment, a lot of the stuff I put up on YouTube is content that has been streamed on Twitch, and then you guys get it in YouTube. I think it's a very nice way for me to double dip in terms of revenue, but also for you guys to be able to consume that content whichever way you like. If you're a YouTube viewer and you like to watch on YouTube, it's going to be there for you. If you're a Twitch viewer, you want to watch it live and you have the time, it's going to be there for you. And I still think YouTube is by far the best avenue for me to put forth guide videos. And I love guide videos. Like the games that I get really addicted to, really into, are the ones that I can make these comprehensive guide videos that you guys seem to come back to again and again and have a lot of the interaction with. I like doing that, but it really requires the game be complicated enough I do it, and also a game that I'm interested in and have played enough that I have an expert opinion to talk about it. If I'm just some random scrub playing the game, I probably don't really have the knowledge base to draw on to make a comprehensive guide video. So you'll probably see content mostly be streamed to Twitch and then uploaded to YouTube, except with the exception of guide videos. I tried a couple, if you remember this last year, things like Sanctus Reach and Tyranny and a couple other games where I just recorded offline that never made it to Twitch, or never made it to Twitch at all, and released directly to YouTube. And what it worked out to be is that financially it didn't make any real sense to do that. The time spent there would have been better spent streaming them to Twitch and uploading to YouTube. There wasn't a significant increase in quality by putting them on YouTube that way, and YouTube in particular isn't a great revenue source for me. So we'll see. Maybe that will change across the course of the years, but I'm a realist, so I'll wait to see it change before I hope that it changes, and I certainly won't plan on it changing. I'll try to adapt to the situation as it's presented to me. Okay. A couple other things. I want to reach out to you guys. This is just kind of channel maintenance kind of stuff a little bit. I am always in need of VOD miners, people who help convert the Twitch streams into chunks that I can upload to YouTube so that the YouTube audience can get that content as well as to have kind of a more permanent record of that. So I'm always in need of people helping with VOD mining. If you're interested in that, please send me a message on Twitch or one of my mods on Twitch or Discord, and we can set up some stuff for that. I'm in need of, I would love to do a little bit more edited content on YouTube, and maybe I will find the time to learn some editing myself. I've done some editing in the past, but editing has always been a very time-intensive thing, which means that it's very, very hard to stream for 40 hours a week or whatever I'm streaming, which is often, as well as do the admin for that, finding games, testing games, setting up channel stuff, setting up Patreon, etc., and then also find time to do video editing. It's almost, I don't know how people do that. I don't think a lot of people do that. I think they often do one or the other, or a mix that has less total hours of content produced. I don't know that I will get to that. What I would love to have is a dedicated fan who is also has the time and desire to do some YouTube editing. I would love some best of style series, or some just more edited series for the YouTube. So if you have any interest, if there's any of you out there who are sitting there with that skill set, or want to develop that skill set, or have started developing that skill set and would like to volunteer your time to the channel, you would always be that would be a very valuable skill set to volunteer to the channel. So let's put that out there. And then I have kind of maybe a less specific skill set one, but still maybe a little bit of a specific skill set, which is, you guys may have noticed I've stopped my D&D campaign. The Zygon, who was the GM of that D&D campaign, he had real life issues that prevented him from continuing with that. I am looking again for another D&D GM. I know for a fact that Steve, Joe and Ribs would like to continue playing D&D. A couple other of my viewers, we'll have to see about the time zones on that. But I would love to put together a D&D game again, but we need a GM for that. I know Arumba was looking at one point for a D&D game too. And if we got a particularly talented GM who has some time to commit, perhaps we could do some one-offs or maybe even a longer campaign with Arumba as well. And that would be a pretty fun one to have Arumba and Steve both available for some D&D. I thought D&D, I had a blast with D&D. I know it doesn't get great viewer count, and I know that some of you guys aren't all that interested in it, but I found that a super, super fun game to play, especially when you know the people and are comfortable with them, and especially when you add some alcohol. But hey, I like adding alcohol to things, so maybe it's just me, but I had a lot of fun with that. And if you're a DM and interested in being part of that experience, please contact, again, me or one of my mods who will direct you to me. The best way to do that is always by Twitch email, although I don't know why Twitch emails no longer give me email notifications, or my business contact is fine too. You can always find my business contact email on my YouTube page, and you can contact me that way if you are a DM or GM who wants to be part of a D&D campaign on my channel. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is a little bit more about the real life sharing. So again, this is in part my vein of trying to be as transparent as possible. I want to talk a little bit about what's coming up this year for my life. So as you guys may or may not know, my wife, FilthyRobot Girl, is graduating with her PhD in psychology this year. She has a May graduation. She's been on the job market and continues to be on the job market. She has applications out. So we don't know where we're going to be yet, but we're going to be moving to wherever she gets a job. It's likely to be some sort of postdoc style job where we're there for a year or two, and then she will probably be applying to a tenure track. She's applying to some tenure tracks this year. I don't know ahead of time which one she will be accepted into, obviously. So we'll see where we end up, but it's up in the air right now. We'll be moving sometime in mid to late July, but we will likely know where that's going to be some months in advance, but we just don't know yet. If you guys don't know this already, my schedule that I've chosen Thursday through Sunday and the time zones that I stream in, which are basically AM for US Central and ending in the early evening, like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. US Central, is in large part due to my wife's work schedule, that I want to have time with my family and I want to be able to produce content. Depending on what her new job and new schedule is going to look like, my schedule may also change to reflect some of that. So we'll see what the second half of this year's streaming schedule looks like. I mean, it'll probably be roughly the same amount of hours, but the hours that it actually happens might be different. If you're watching this on YouTube, that may not be such a big deal for you. You can check the content whenever you want to check the content, but if you watch my stream, it may be a bigger deal for you. And I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet. So I'm super excited about that. I'm ready to be... We might still be in Illinois. I don't know yet. But I'm ready to be out of Illinois, ideally out of the Midwest. It might not happen, but I have hopes for that. I'd love to be somewhere warmer. That would be great too. I don't know if that will happen or not, but that would be ideal. But we're going to be somewhere new, and it's kind of cool. We already talked a little bit about moving on for portions of our lives, like some of my moderators moving on in their lives. And we're moving on to the next stage of our life. For me, that is still streaming. I want to continue to make this my profession. I want to continue to be able to survive on streaming, and I'm looking forward to that. But it's a really, really big milestone in my wife's life, and a really big milestone in my life to see her graduate and see her step into her first post, university. I guess it's postgraduate job, right? So she'll now be a PhD in psychology, which is pretty fucking cool. So I want to tell you guys about that a little bit. I told you already about the trip that we're going to be heading out to this year. Our probably big trip this year will be Portland and Seattle and that area. Probably hiking, climbing, food, alcohol, and maybe meeting some of you all. That will probably be in early June or first couple weeks of June is what we're looking at right now, I think. When I get exact dates, I'll let you guys know about that. And once I have exact dates and some idea of what my travel itinerary is going to be like, I will start looking for venues. And perhaps those of you who live in that area can suggest venues, which would be great, of bars that I can go and sit for a couple hours and have some drinks. And if people want to show up and say hi, we can show up and say hi. So I think that would be pretty damn cool. And there'll be some smaller venues smaller travel across the year that I may also try to open up for that as well. But yeah. Which brings me to the next question, which is a couple years ago for the first TwitchCon, I went to TwitchCon for the very first one. I didn't actually find it all that useful as a streamer. I kind of went into it thinking it would be a professional conference. I tried to ask some questions of some larger streamers about growth, about sustainability, about, basically work-related questions of how do I do this job well? And I got trolled. I got some shitty answers. I got a couple people who actually put some effort and thought into their answers, and I really appreciated that. But as a whole, I didn't walk out of that conference with a whole hell of a lot of information that was useful to me. However, it's now been a couple years later. There might be some more stuff out there for me as a streamer. But I've also been streaming for a couple more years. There's now more of a reason from potentially, again, meeting you guys as another point of contact, as another point of publicity for myself and you guys. It might be worth me going. So I kind of would love to hear if you guys want to leave some thoughts in the comment section below. Would you like to see me at TwitchCon this year? Is it worthwhile? And if the answer is no, you probably wouldn't go to TwitchCon. I know you're going to sit there and think, well, I shouldn't post that. No, that would actually be useful. That would be really useful information to hear. So it's easy in a situation like this where I call for like a positive action from those of you who are interested in it to only get those positive reactions, only get those positive responses and not have any real sense of it. But I'm actually trying to get a sense from you guys. Is this something that would be useful? Is it something that would be fun for you guys? If I was out a little bit more publicly, there are a couple more chances to interact in some of these gaming events, some of these streaming events, or potentially in some of these trips that I'm planning on taking. I don't know. So let me know on that, guys. And then finally, I just kind of wanted to end with some good stuff here. I think I talked to you guys about the growth of the channel. I think I said that, right? Shit, I can't remember because this is not the first take of this video. I started it and then stopped it. I think I told you already, but if I didn't, let me just recap. So we had 28% YouTube subscriber growth. We had 36% Twitch follower growth, and we had about 10% overall revenue growth from the year of 2016 compared to the year of 2017. In other words, we grew by those numbers this last year that we streamed, our channel, which is good. I'm glad for that growth. I particularly the revenue. It would have been nice if the revenue grew by the same proportion as those of you who follow it or subscribe to it. That would have been nice if that was in correspondence. A 36% pay increase would have beat the hell out of a 10% pay increase. But overall, I was pretty pleased with those numbers, and I hope to see numbers continue to grow. But what I wanted to point out is that none of that is possible without you guys. You guys have now been supporting me doing this for almost 3.5 years, and that's really fucking awesome. So thank you, all of you watching it, all of you supporting it, all of you who come watch my streams and check out my guide videos and subscribe to my channels and support me on Patreon. Thank you, all of you guys, for that. I couldn't be doing this without you, and it's been really, really cool to continue to see this grow and to start slowly to have some faith that this might be something I can do in the long run. I'm starting to see. I certainly wouldn't. I'm certainly not where I want to be yet. I don't think you can ever be stationary in this particular field, anyways. But I'm certainly not even to the minimums that I would like to be eventually. But I'm at the moment, I'm the sole provider in my family, and we're okay. She's about to graduate, which is great. She'll have a job. We'll have a little bit more. What am I saying? A little bit more. We'll have a lot more disposable income when that happens, which should be great. But as a whole, this has been really cool to see this transition from a casual gamer going to graduate school to a full-time gamer streaming and content creating and able to survive on that. It's a really kind of humbling to see the amount of support and interest I've had from you guys on that, and it's really awesome to continue to be able to do that. So I just wanted to thank all of you who were there for me in 2017, and hopefully we'll be here again in 2018. Anyways, guys, I know this has gone on a little bit. Hopefully it's still good. I know I haven't done a lot of these updates, but it is good occasionally to do that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.